Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be talking about Vigilante City, which is a game produced by Bloat Games. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about campaign setup. So, a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I got my hard copies of the game, and so very excited. Started tearing through it, taking a look, and starting to think of some ideas that I wanted to put together for my very first campaign. And one of the things that I started to take a look at this past weekend was the GM screen. And so the GM screen comes as a separate PDF when you purchase this game. If you buy, if you purchase this game through PDF, and so I pulled it out. I printed out the pages of it, and I started taking a look at it and seeing how I wanted to configure this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I do with my own GM screens. So a little bit of arts and crafts here. So at one point I bought the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition Game Master screen, and it was about $22 or something like that. And when I opened it up, I took a look at it and looked at the information that was in there, and I was really disappointed, to be honest. I thought that it didn't have information that as a GM I really needed, and I really looked at it as one of my most regretful purchases. So not to slam too much on them, but that's not the intent here. But what I started doing was I picked up these Trifold poster boards. All right, so this particular one is, it's a styrofoam poster board, has, paper on both sides, so it's a nice surface, nice smooth surface. Trifold. Now, it comes very large. All right, this is cut in half actually, so you could purchase the board. I believe I picked it up at Target for like $9, and you can make two trifold boards using that. So what else you need? The other materials you need is I use these Scotch restickable 1-inch square. So they're mounting squares. Obviously adhesive on both sides, and then I use these little sheet sleeves. So standard size paper sleeves, and once you do that, you can start setting up your board. And what I did here was I put these two here already as the outer board, so you can see when you put this on on your table and you're GMing a game, the people will be able to see what game you're actually playing. And I did a little branding here with my channel, so if I do go to a convention, I'd have this out on the board. Now, you probably notice this is kind of rough here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some artist tape, which is a white tape, and that will take this rough edge out of here. I kept the flat, smooth edge, as the bottom, obviously. So when this is on the table and it opens up, there will be two additional panels that the players will be able to see. And when I take a look at individual games, I look at some of the panels that they could potentially be. And sometimes they could be the travel distance pages, or they could be weapons lists, or just something that is more player centered. Now on the inside, you obviously have room for up to four additional sheets. So combined up, it's enough to put anywhere between 6, and you could actually do double-sided, on both sides. So you could probably get up to 8 different sheets of paper, so sleeves. So for for Vigilante City, there's one page here for attribute bonus tables, the Vigilante points table, which are points that you earn in the game, and so on. There's a skills chart as a second page. That I would certainly put on here. There's the critical hit and critical fumble table. That I'll also include. There's a little bit more situational, a push table, and an entering the stepping into the void table, which I think are kind of situational. I may or may not put them on the board. So I'm looking for at least 3 different panels to put on this board. And I've been sifting through the book to see what else might better go there. There's a starting wealth table, which I wouldn't put on there because this is something that you use once and then, you put it back into, essentially the player's handbook folder if you have one, just for character creation. So, I have some decisions to make about how I'm going to set up this board. But, for the most part, as far as cost effectiveness, like I said, the board itself for the whole thing is about $9. You're making 2 full boards out of it. The sleeves, I don't know how much they are. They're probably, I bought them at Staples. They're probably less than $5 for a full packet of like 50 sleeves. These Scotch things are about $5 for 18. So 18 is enough to do an entire board. So we're probably up to about $20 to make the board, but they have interchangeable sleeves. So you can make 1 board or 2 boards for that $20 and then just replace everything. So, put a different page in for a different game if you wanted to do that. So anyhow, back to Vigilante City here. Now, I'm just going to slide. Well, I did it the wrong way. Grabbed the wrong thing. So, this is the Villain's Guide. And what is inside the Villain's Guide, which I didn't go into huge detail before. So, the Villain's Guide actually talks about Vigilante City, which is actually called Victory City, but that's, Vigilante City is the nickname of the place. And it talks about the various neighborhoods or boroughs of the city. Then there's the gangs of Vigilante City, and so it has the pre-created gangs of the city if you want to include them in there. But then what I really like about this is that there is a build your own city aspect of the game, and that's what I'm going to focus on right now. So coming over here, build your own city, and it talks about, you're rolling a D100 on various tables in order to start to develop your city's concept, or maybe a specific event or a specific neighborhood that you're creating. And so as you're building up a neighborhood, and that's what they go into here. So using the dice drop, page 24, for rolling the D100. So when we go here, you can see this is starting page 23 and 24. And so you would roll a D100 and it would start to give you the features. But what I liked over here is that this is another table that you can use where you could be a little bit more specific. Rolling a D100, and it'll tell you, let's say you rolled a 100. So that would be an ASP corporate lab. All right, an ASP is one of the NPC organizations that's an active player in the power base of Vigilante City. So So if you rolled that 100, all right, so now I'm dealing with this particular building, and this particular building is an ASP lab. All right, then we go to an event. All right, and I can roll an event and see what happens in that lab. All right, so maybe I'm creating a particular adventure. And let's say I just keep on going with the 100, right? So I rolled the second 100. So there's a dead body in this lab. Now let's go to the next. All right, we go to the next. So these are unique people on the block. So who could potentially be in that lab, with that dead body? And if we just keep on following the 100, a local vigilante is active in the area. So a local vigilante could actually be in that building at the time when the player character or the player characters, if you're playing with more than one, arrives there. We'll just keep on going with the so what event is taking place? What random city event is taking place potentially in that building? Well, we roll twice according to following our 100 here, and let's just say we'll just split it. So we'll say what's going on with 50 and then 25. So 50 says there's a tornado. All right, so now we have an ASP lab, a dead body, a vigilante, and a tornado. All right, and then we look at 25, and 25 would be heavy crime all about. All right, so now I'm starting to develop kind of like a story. So there's a major crime going about. There's a vigilante. There's a tornado. Maybe the tornado was created by some villain, and I'm going to end up creating a villain that caused this tornado. Or maybe this tornado was there, and the villains are taking advantage of this natural disaster, although that's a little bit more far-fetched. You then have this organizational sheet that allows you to do a neighborhood at a glance. And so as you're building these different, block by block and talking about the individual blocks of a neighborhood, you'll get an overview of the entire neighborhood that you've just created. Moving on, so we're still fleshing out your own city here. You can take the vigilante city that is, described in the book, and then keep on enhancing it, building upon it, and making it your own unique version of that setting. So instant street gang generator and its drop dice. And so once again, you have these charts here where you can roll and get the gang type, the gang colors, and then the main criminal activity of the gang. You can determine how many of each type of membership the gang is going to have. So there's, gang leader, and then based on the roles that you do, you'd be able to determine how many of each type of these different henchmen or cohort for the gang you can then flesh out. There's a whole section on street drugs and the various drugs that are bought, sold, and used, obviously criminally, within Vigilante City. There's an optional contacts. So this is where, I think this plays more to if there is a solo character. And so an individual character would have some kind of a contact, kind of like the Alfred or the police commissioner is to Batman. So this might be somebody who has a direct line, possibly knows the true identity of, of your superhero, or it could be a government official that is kind of coordinating your activities. NPC quick villain quick generator tables once again. So now you can start quickly generating either bosses or sub bosses, or just a general feel of an individual character that's potentially a bad person that your characters can encounter. List of quirks, obviously, up to 100 different quirks for them. Basic adventure hooks. And so you saw how I was kind of threading an adventure out of just those first random rolls. But you can also come here and roll a D100 and choose, choose between these. So there's stop a gang war. If we keep on with our 100, we'll gather an army and try to take down ASP. So hey, that would really tie in with what the rest of my random rolls were generating as far as the storyline is concerned. And then it goes into, so that's up to page 43, and that's the whole section that is covered for creating your, building your own city. So basically from page 21 to 43. So it's not a whole lot of, detail in there that you have to, that you have to read. It's just your random rolls, and then you can piece together your story about what's going on. And you could build your city block by block or neighborhood by neighborhood, and then slowly introduce that to your player character group, so that they start to gain a feel for the place in small pieces, and then as time goes on, they're getting a bigger and a broader view of what's going on in Vigilante City. So pretty much leave it at that. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. As I'm getting close to the end of the school year, I will be on vacation in about 3 weeks. And once that vacation begins, that's when the games will begin. And so I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. Thanks for joining in. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Like it. That'll get more, more people at least potentially getting a chance at seeing this channel. And please leave your comments. Comments are, always appreciated. And I respond to every comment that is put on my channel. And once again, when someone comments on my page, or they subscribe to my page, I then turn around and I subscribe to yours as well. So if you have a channel out there that's similar to my interests, anything gaming, pretty much, I will start following your channel as well. And so I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You all have a good evening.